Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Easter Sunday morning. Jesus is risen.
Great to be with you, everyone, here online as well as in the service. You're here with us.
Yeah. So my name is Brian Hofmeister, pastor here at Lakepoint Church.
And I'm Melissa Hofmeister, and we have three boys who are getting ready to worship with us. But we wanted to say hi to you all.
Or getting out of bed still.
Well, that's
they'll
true.
Be here.
They'll be here for one of the services. So whichever service you're at, we're glad that you're here with us today.
And we love hosting a little bit of an online chat. Okay, so this is like your lobby experience. If you're online, this is you grabbing your cup of coffee, having a conversation with the people around you. And here's the conversational question that we want to pitch in front of you right now. Chat it up in the column. What makes the big holidays a big deal for you?
That's a great question. I know in our house, seeing extended family is always one of my favorite parts of a big holiday. We usually get to see maybe cousins or aunts. I mean, it might look different this year a little bit, but I love seeing those extended families. And I don't know about you, but even trying to set up a Zoom call or seeing people on FaceTime that might be in another state, we always make a little extra time to see extended family.
You know, I did get a Facebook message from your aunt this morning, and it was just like,
great.
oh, happy Easter. It does have a way of bringing family together, and when families get together, food's also happening, right?
Okay, let's say Easter lunch also on the top of my list. I love all of the different kinds of foods that I don't take the time to make come out on Easter.
Yeah, what are you guys making for Easter right now? What's your brunch? What's your lunch look like? A lot of stuff happens.
Yeah.
Also, when I think of family, I think sometimes the big holidays are a big deal because it helps us remember the family members that aren't with us.
Yeah, sharing past stories, special memories. I think that's a really important part of pausing during a holiday. I know that we really try to be intentional about some conversations with our kids as well during big holidays, maybe having them retell the Easter story in their own words or asking them questions like, what does Easter mean to you? How does it actually impact your everyday life? Because that's, I think, important for us to just pause and process.
Yeah, how nice is it to have a significant conversation as a family of, in this regard, regardless of what the holiday is, right? Like 4th of July, it's not just lighting sparklers. It's kids. What's freedom, and what did it cost a nation? How many lives have served along the way to keep us the freedom?
Yeah.
What about Thanksgiving? What are you thankful for? On to Christmas and Easter. Give me one good question you could ask your kids.
Let's see that in the comments. Yeah.
No, what?
Oh, for me?
You.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
They can answer in the comments, but how about you as a mom? One big question you could ask your kids that's going to pull out the significance of Easter.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned freedom at 4th of July, but actually that is a word that really comes to mind to me around Easter. Because Jesus died for you on Good Friday, because he rose again, how does that create freedom in your life? How do you get to live differently, live more freely, that you don't have to do this life on your own? You don't have to be right all the time. Jesus was right for you. And I think processing that freedom at Easter is also a great time to process.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that the big deal of the big holidays, and I praise God that that's the way it is and how people are, is Jesus, right? And how significant is it that this big holiday is built on him, and that we live in a country and in a world and a context that respects that. Let's make it about him. Yeah. And I'm so glad you chose to make Jesus and his resurrection part of your Easter Sunday morning, that it's not just fluffy bunnies and baskets and candy and stuff
fun,
like that. But so we're going to celebrate him. We're going to worship him. Looks like our band's about ready to jump into it. And today's service, if you've been watching the last few weeks of how we've been doing a special thing for the online people, well, we just got the window for you right now. You're joining the service. So let's bring up the band. Let's start praising the resurrected King Jesus. Thanks for joining us.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Thank Hey, good morning, Lakepoint Church. If you're on site, why don't you jump up to your feet? We're going to sing together this morning. If you're online, thank you so much for tuning in. We're so excited for the resurrection of Jesus. Is anybody excited for an Easter Sunday this morning? Come on.
I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover. But the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. I believe in signs and wonders. Yes, I have resurrection power. Still the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. Yes, my praise belongs to you forever. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify, by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Come together, sons and daughters, bought with blood and washed in water. Sing the praises of the Spirit, Son and Father. Our God will finish what He started. Yes, our God will finish what He started. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify, by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. You're not done. You're not. Greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify, by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify, by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony.
Ready to keep singing this morning, church? Sing along if you know it. Oh, how high. Oh, how high would I climb mountains if the mountains will wear you high. And oh, how far I'd scale the valleys if you graced the other side. And oh, how long have I chased rivers from lowly seas to where they rise, against the rush of grace descending from the source of its supply. Come on. 'Cause in the highlands and the heartache, you're neither more or less inclined. I would search and stop at nothing, but you're just not that hard to find. I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you when the mountain's in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache all the same. Rest on the sunrise to where you sweep the sinners past. Oh, how fast would you come running if just to shadow me through the night? Trace my steps through all my failure and walk me out the other side. Come on, a little bit louder. For who could dare ascend that mountain, that valleyed hill called Calvary, but for the one I call Good Shepherd, who like a lamb was slain for me. Come on. I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you when the mountain's in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache all the same. Oh, 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 wherever I walk through, wherever I am, your name can move mountains. Wherever I stand, if ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll sing to the shadows, my song in the sand. Whatever I walk through, wherever I am, your name can move mountains. Wherever I stand, if ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll sing to the shadows, my song in the sand, my song in the sand. My song in the sand. Well, this is what Easter's all about. From the greatest of all valleys come the pastures we call grace. A mighty river flowing upward from a deep but empty grave. Come on. I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you when the mountain's in the way. You're the summit when my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows. No less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heart is gonna sing. I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you when the mountain's in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows. No less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heart, it's all the same. Come on, church, if you're grateful for Jesus, if you're grateful for His love, for His grace, would you clap your hands?
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in
time it is. That is the story of Easter, isn't it? We're so glad that you're here with us today. You can take a seat. Welcome to Lakepoint Church, where we're all about helping people connect to Jesus in their everyday life. And part of that is sharing in community, whether you're here or online. We're so glad that you get to participate in this Jesus journey that we're on. If you are here and you're new with us, we'd love for you to go out to the website. You can pull out your phone right now and fill out our Connect card. This is just a way for us to get to know you a little bit better. Maybe you can drop in a prayer request there. We'll take your information. We won't do anything with it. We'll keep it confidential, but we'd love to send you something this week to get to know you a little bit better. If you're here in person, you can also stop at our Connect bar and pick up a little gift that we have for you. If you call Lakepoint home and this is your family, we want to say thank you for your continued generosity. The impact that you make with your financial gifts not only impacts us here locally, but throughout the Milwaukee area and globally as well, as we have so many partners that we are able to help impact. You can give online or at the giving box in between the doors as you exit. There are a lot of great events coming up. You can check out our website for those on the events page. But would you continue to worship with us on this beautiful Easter morning as Matt and Katie share a new song?
Oh,
Well, how good is it to be doing Easter together? Is anyone excited about doing Easter this way? I don't know if you remember last year's Easter. I barely do at this point, but it was wild. It's like the world changed. But man, if those of you hanging out here in person, because you've been in person as long as we've been, those of you who are in person today, I know some of you are back for the first time in a face-to-face way since this whole thing happened, and it's awesome to see you. And those of you who are online right now, whether you're on your vacation and you're tuning in and driving back from your vacation, or just hanging out in your living room wishing you were on vacation, I'm just happy we get to do church together as a family and with all of our guests here. I get there's people, if you're the person who's not really a church kind of person or a Jesus kind of person, but you felt led to be here today or to catch a stream that's happening online. We're going to talk about Jesus today. And I'm glad we get to do Easter together. It's because something happened on Easter. Something happened that made people believe back then and believe forever. I appreciate this. Okay, Friday afternoon, zero belief was taking place in the world. None. It was all gone. That lifeless body of Jesus, as it was taken from the cross and laid in a tomb as its final resting place, nobody believed. Because a dead Messiah is no Messiah at all. All the belief of a renewal and a liberation and spirit and God come to dwell among us, all that was broken to pieces because Messiahs don't die. Must have been just another death, another life snuffed out by a cruel Roman Empire, the life of a Jewish carpenter's son that would soon quickly be forgotten. But no one has forgotten that life, because that crucified Messiah came out of an empty tomb 3 days later, and he had the keys to death and hell in his hands as he did so. And the women at the tomb witnessed it, and the disciples in the upper room, they witnessed it, and hundreds of other people witnessed the resurrected King Jesus. And so they wrote about him, and they believed in him, and they built churches to praise him. And to this day, people pray to God because he lives. That's Easter. If I could take you past that first Easter, though, and even take you further past the Easter that we're in today, I want to go to an Easter that's coming up. And Jesus had a close follower by the name of John, and John received a revelation of a time past our time. And part of the revelation he received was a picture of the resurrected King Jesus. And this is a cool picture. You're going to love this, okay? Because this isn't the Jesus with flip-flops and a morning bathrobe kind of thing, okay? Listen in. He's talking about Jesus with this snow-white hair and eyes of fire. He describes him with feet of polished bronze, a voice like a waterfall, and a face like the sun itself. Can you imagine looking at that? That's terrifying. And it was terrifying to John. And so that's why it says right here in the first chapter of the Revelation, Jesus shows up to tell John, do not be afraid. Why? Because I'm the first one and I'm the last one. I'm the living one. I was dead, but look, now I'm alive forever and ever. Do not be afraid. Because Jesus says all those things. And that's one of the biggest takeaways. There's many takeaways of Easter, but one of the biggest takeaways that Jesus has for you and I is do not be afraid. And I think that's important because, if I could take my pastor hat off for a second and just talk to you like a normal person would, sometimes I wonder what is the point of Easter now? I get what the point of Easter is later, like heaven is a big deal because Jesus came back to life. I'm coming back to life. Like I get to live with him for forever. And I don't get me wrong here. Like I appreciate it because I need heaven. I want heaven. I'm excited about heaven. The fact that I finally get to see this God who loves me and I get to feel him and have a conversation with him back and forth. And that's my eternity. I am really, really looking forward to that. So I'm holding my ticket to heaven close to my chest because it means the world to me. But right now, sometimes I miss what it means right now. And to have Jesus say the words, do not be afraid. Put verse 17 up there again. Do not be afraid. That's the kind of stuff that makes a difference right now. But how about you? Like, is that where you're at? Would you say that you are in a spot where you no longer fear because you have run into the resurrected King Jesus? Is that your story? Is that us? Like, I think, like most of us are in the camp right now where we could start counting up our fears like fingers on our hands, and we're going to end up on our toes because we got things we're afraid of for our kids and the world that they live in, about the people that we've married and the relationships as they're continuing on for us. We fear our bank accounts. We fear a virus. We fear vaccine, politics. Like there's just all stuff we could like list of fear. Right? And then I appreciate there's another camp, like camp number 2, or the ones that I'm not afraid. That's weird. I mean, there are risks out there. There are problems you got to fix, but I wouldn't say I'm afraid of any of it. All right. Okay, I get where you're coming from, but I'm going to try to come back to you by the end here. Let's see if I can speak to you as well, because Jesus is speaking to fears. Just going a few chapters forward, Revelation 5, a scroll is presented. And on the scroll is written the plan of God, the redemptive plan of God to save the world, to redeem the cosmos, to set all things back to the way that they were meant to be. But the problem with this scroll is it's got a seal on it, and no one is worthy to read God's plan, to speak it into being, to roll it out for the world so that it will save the world the way that God wants to. And so as we jump in here, Revelations 5, verse 4, John says, I wept and wept. Apparently double emphasis necessary, right? Like he's just crying over this thing because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, do not weep. See the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, he's triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. Then I saw a lamb looking like it had been slain. Okay, that's the glory of Easter. The one and the only one worthy to speak God's plan for the world, his redemptive saving plan into being, the one with all that lion strength, the one with the roar, is presented to us as a lamb that's been killed. Now, that's a play on Jewish history, and I appreciate that not everyone in the room here like brushed up on their Jewish history from 3,500 years ago before Easter Sunday morning. So let me refresh you on it, okay? This is referring to the Passover lamb. It was the day of independence for the nation of Israel. And the way this independence was earned is God sent a death angel throughout Egypt, and he took out Israel's enemy. But to know that this was not a house where the death angel was going to take life, the blood of a slain lamb would be spread over the door frame of the house. And so as the angel passed by, the angel showed up at that door frame, he said, I'm going to pass over this one. Because death has already taken place. No further blood needs to be shed here. And out of reference to that, you and I now have a slain lamb that stands in front of us, ready to read this scroll. And he reads the scroll over all humanity, saying, no need for death to take place on anyone in humanity who stands under this door frame of belief in me, because death has already taken place for them. John's weeping. The tears are flowing. But he's told, don't cry. No more tears. We're taking away the tears on this one, for all things broken will be restored. We have one who's worthy to read God's plan into being. This is actually a classic effect of Easter. So if you want to go back with me now back to Easter number 1, John 20, you got Mary who's standing there weeping outside the tomb. She actually turns and sees Jesus, but supposing him to be some kind of gardener, she asks him, where do I find the body? Just let me know. If you stole it, just tell me. I'll put it back and everything. And the tears are still falling for Mary. Until verse 16, Jesus said to her, Mary? Period. Mary? That's all. That's all that needed to be said. Like when that person you've given your whole love to on a bad day when you're overwhelmed just says your name and somehow it resets you back in the spot. Or parents, you get how this is with your kids, where sometimes they're in tears and they don't know how to console themselves, and you just say their name in a comforting, present way. It takes away the tears, and that's what Jesus does for Mary. Mary has tears for herself. Mary has tears for her Lord. She has tears for what she hoped God would be. She has tears for what she believed her nation would be under God. And when you look at another 12 months that have gone by since last Easter, anybody shed a few tears this year? I know I did. I mean, I cried when I watched the George Floyd video. Like I'm not ashamed to say it, but like that was hard. That was terrible to see that happen to someone. And the tears kept coming after that, realizing that there's got to be a bunch of other bad cops out there who have done similar things and got away with it. And the tears shifted over to good cops. Good cops that I know by name here in Muskego who work in Milwaukee County that want to throw in the towel as quickly as they can. They want out. They want nothing to do with it. We got good cops that want to quit. That makes me sad. I'm pretty sure I teared up a few times night after night watching the news as 2020 rolled by and windows were being broken and businesses were being burned. Like, these are not the streets of America as I've known them and have visited them, and now I see them in the news just being destroyed. My father got COVID last fall, and they took him to the hospital. I cried about it. You don't know if your dad's going to be another statistic of a life that's lost to a virus. My grandmother passed away in 2020. You want to know what my last memory of Grandma was? It was Mother's Day. Standing outside her senior living window, getting rained on, and all I can see of Grandma is her hand. She's managed to slip it between her blinds. I don't think she knew how to open her blinds anymore, but she could put it between the blinds so I could see her hand and she could see mine. That's my last memory of Grandma. That made me cry. I don't know. I'm sad to think that I don't get to believe in a peaceful outcome to an election anymore, and I'm sad about that. I ran out of toilet paper last spring. Like in the middle of everything else going on, like why the TP, right? Like there's just like list after list of things to cry over, and tears happened for me, and tears happened for you. Tears just keep happening. But Easter is about wiping away the tears and the fears that are behind those tears. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, sometimes it's easier to spot the tears than it is to name the fears behind them. Because when a tear falls, it's just an indication that a fear got realized. Whether we want to admit it or not, face it or not, use the word or not, there are fears left and right of whichever way we go. When we leave today, when you run into your Monday, left or right, you're going to run into a fear. It's like this. When considering whether or not to get married or how to get married or who to get married to, we fear that we're never going to find that special someone. And then we equally fear that maybe this thing's going to end in disaster. We're afraid in our career moves of stepping out of the career track that we've already set for ourselves. But then we're also fearful that if we don't, maybe we're going to get stuck and miss out on some kind of golden opportunity. We're afraid of our financial future when our bank account is getting close to zero. When it starts going back up again, we fear our financial future no less than we did beforehand. We fear what this world is going to look like for our kids if we don't solve some of the racial tensions that we live in right now. But would you also be afraid if how your neighborhood would change if we all just got together and try to start getting along? We fear getting COVID and a virus. We also fear what this world's going to look like if we don't get back to the way things were before the virus. We fear like we'll never be known for doing something significant. But we feared if we ever tried doing something significant, we'd fall short, and so maybe we shouldn't try. We fear that maybe we're not doing enough as parents. And at the same time, we fear that maybe we're being too hard on them. We fear we can't retire just yet. We fear that by the time we retire, we might not have as many years as we wanted left. We fear being alone, but we also fear the real engagement it would take to not be alone. We fear that no one wants us or needs us, but when they do, we feel that maybe they're taking advantage of us. Do you see what's going on here? Fear is like a double-edged sword. It's going to cut you up whichever way you turn. But here's a resurrected Jesus telling Mary, don't be afraid. And here's the resurrected Lamb telling John, do not be afraid. Do you want to know what the most repeated commandment in the Bible is? It's not be holy or be good, like that was chief on God's mind. It's not stop sinning because you got to stop doing all the wrong stuff. The most repeated commandment by God, angels, Jesus, the prophets, and the apostle is do not be afraid. And it's of chief concern to a resurrected King, Jesus. The irony is, even though that's what you and I most wanted to hear, it's what you and I at least know how to do. Right? None of us want to fear. Well, we'll toss it away as quickly as we could. That's what we'd want to do. We just don't know how. It's like we can't. Fear's almost become the air that we breathe. But John adds elsewhere, 1 John 4:18, that perfect love drives out fear. Do you think it does? Or maybe the more important question is, was it? Was love perfected when Jesus was resurrected? Is he able to say this to Mary with a pierced side and breath in his lungs in a way that he couldn't before all that took place? Was love perfected? Was fear lifted because Jesus was resurrected? Revelations 21, this is really the picture of where it all ends. It says, John says, then I saw, here it is, I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. He who was seated on the throne said, I am making everything new. Everything will be new. You don't even need a temple in heaven, no place of worship, because Jesus is just the center of all things. And his love and his life and his vitality is shaping it continually as it is meant to be. In his presence, verse 4, he will wipe every tear away from their eyes. That means you and I, there will no longer be any hurt. No hate, no bullets, no riots, no tyrants, no pandemics, no death, no more tears, no more fears, no more 2020, no more 2021. But still the dilemma. The dilemma is that's what's waiting for us then. And there, because of a resurrected King Jesus, what's waiting for us now? And here's what's waiting for us now. Here's where I've been going with the whole thing. Here's where Jesus is going with it. No more tears in heaven means no more fears on earth. No more tears in heaven means no more fears on earth, because if a God loves us enough to take away all the tears then and there, then that God loves us enough to take away the core of our fears right now. Appreciate the way that Jesus said it is, in this world you will have trouble. That's a given. We are following the God who says, you want to follow me? Pick up your cross and follow me, because that's what it's going to look like. That's what it's going to feel like. There is no illusion that the tears are going to go away in this lifetime. But because the tears are gone in heaven, the fears are gone on earth right now, because the same resurrected King Jesus tells you, like he tells me, like he told Mary in front of the tomb and John in front of the scroll, do not be afraid. A king who conquers death has perfected love. He is love. And he can't go away because he can't die. Jesus is the only love that you will ever have that will never die. So do not be afraid. It's like Peter walking out there on the water, right? When he fixated on the fears, when he looked at the waves around him, he started to sink. But the second he said, Jesus, save me, Jesus can, and Jesus does, because Jesus lives. And he showed up and saved him all over again. That is a perfect love. That's a perfect love that can't disappear. And because it can't disappear, it's driving out the fears. Listen, I know it's been hard at every possible level, right? Like, I had no imagination when COVID-19 hit just how much it has stirred up and turned over, and we ain't done with it yet. Right? Like, even when the virus part is dealt with, you wanna see the polarity and judgmental nature of humanity. Just watch when the mandates on masks start shifting, and when the vaccine count, when everyone who voluntarily wants it is done, people are gonna judge each other and shame each other, and this is gonna get nasty from here. That's what we got to look forward to. Same thing with our world affairs and the state of our nation. I mean, please tell me that after all that got stirred up on the race front, that we got somewhere positive to go from here. And positive changes and big issues is gonna take some work, and it's gonna take some heartache. And don't tell me that an election year is done, because you change hands over to a new president, and if you haven't noticed, the new president does it very differently than the last president. It ain't smooth sailing from here. And that's just on top of local life and just you living. When's life and business? When's it going to be business as usual? None of us know what it is as usual anymore. And in the middle of all that, it has strained your relationships. I know it has mine. It's added stress to your life. It's most certainly has for mine. It increases isolation. And some would even say depression. It's exasperated the polarity between people, and all that on top of the fact that nobody's life was easy before all this started. We got our share of tears here on earth, but no more tears in heaven. That means no more fears here on earth. There's a perfect love. It was perfected at Easter in a God who can no longer die. And that's what drives out the fears. Anytime you're fixating on the fears, anytime you feel like you're the one sinking, you call out to Jesus, because Jesus can, and Jesus does, because Jesus still lives. I want to pray for you. And maybe the right way of saying it is I want to pray with you. If you want to attach yourself to this prayer, I'm going to pray it like I'm praying your words. Jesus, I want to believe all over again in a deeper way. Because I fixate on what I'm afraid of. I don't always want to call it a fear. I don't even always admit it's a fear, but I'm afraid of stuff. And the more I look at those waves, the more I'm sinking. Jesus, I want to look at you, the resurrected you, the alive you, the you that says, do not be afraid, because I need a lot less fear in my life. I know it's going to hurt. I know it's not going to be easy, but inside of you and your love, and you coming alongside and you walking together with me, I know I don't have to be afraid. You're bigger than the rest. Just help me believe again. Maybe that was your prayer. Maybe you want to put it in your own words. That's your prayer to him. For others of you, maybe the prayer sounds a little more like this. Jesus, I want to believe the first time. I used to do the church thing. Or I've been around stuff like this before. Or I had ideas about you, but it hasn't translated into anything of me attaching myself to something of you that carries me past life as I live it on my own. And something for me this Easter and for the weeks that have been leading into it has told me that you're real. And that what you did on the cross was for me. And that the burden's gone and the guilt's gone and the shame's gone and anything that was wrong about me you dealt with, and anything that life was supposed to be lived in, it can be lived in you now. And so I'm calling on you, Jesus. I believe in you. And I place my life in your hands. And wherever you want to go with me from here, I'm following you. You're my all. Again, maybe you got some different words you want to attach to it. But maybe you want to tell Jesus, I believe. That's the first time you're really saying it. God, I pray for all of us in all things. We want to see your world. We want to see it in the scroll that you read over all humanity. And it has begun. It is taking place. And we long for the day that it is perfected with you in your presence. And we say, come, Lord Jesus, come. Why don't we all stand together here? We're going to sing this song. We're going to sing of a resurrected King Jesus. We're celebrating Easter together. A God who still lives, a God who still loves. And that perfect love is what's driving out all of our fears.
on, church, we're going to sing this together really, really loud. Amen? Sing wide. Sweet Lord, oh, you hear that? Let the praise go up as the walls come down. Oh, creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. Oh, his children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. So sing aloud, oh, you hear that? Let the praise go up as the walls come down. Oh, creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. Oh, his children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. So sing wide, oh, you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All his children, clean hands, pure heart, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Sing wide, oh, you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. Oh, creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All his children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Come on, you sing. Jesus, our redemption, our salvation, in his blood. Jesus, Light of heaven, reign forever, his kingdom come. Church, we love you. Have a great Easter Sunday. We will see you back here next week, Sunday at 10 a.m.